Hello once again. A quick video today to show a cool piece of vintage audio equipment. This is a Sony Discman model D-99 portable CD player made in 1990. And the reason today's video about it is going to be a quick one is because I've actually already sold this. I do not have this anymore. I'm probably going to wait a few weeks before I upload this video just to make sure that it gets to the buyer okay and everything like that. But yeah, I'm making this a little shorter than usual because after I'm done taping this, I need to box this thing up and get it out to its new owner. This was given to me a little over a year ago actually, and it was given to me because it was completely non-functional. Did not work, did not even turn on or anything. And the reason it was non-functional is quite obvious if you have any familiarity of Sony equipment from the late 80s and early 90s. This was full of bad capacitors. Every electrolytic capacitor in Sony equipment from this era is bad today. And this doesn't even use surface mount capacitors. There's only one surface mount capacitor in it, and the rest were regular through-hole capacitors. But Sony just had bad luck of the draw, and their source of capacitors in this era, both through-hole and surface mount, was just no good. And within only a few years, like less than a decade, lots and lots of Sony equipment, both consumer and professional, from this era just completely stopped working. So I received this non-functional and I did recap it. This was definitely the most time-consuming recap I've ever done because it's really small in here and really tight, and everything's all tightly spaced together and the capacitors are really small. But I did it. I replaced all the electrolytic capacitors and it works again. This thing actually works and plays just fine. The only other issue this has is that for some reason there is no audio out the right channel of the headphone jack. Line out jack works great. Right channel of the headphone jack, no audio. Don't know why. There are tantalum and ceramic capacitors in this. Maybe one of those is responsible. Or maybe the headphone amp is bad. Don't know. But it sounds fine out the line out jack. Headphone jack's just useless. So, without being able to figure out why there's no right channel headphone audio, I decided to throw this up on eBay, and I sold it very quickly, and for a price that I am very, very happy about. These things are worth a lot. Old Sony Discmans from the first ones up until the ones from the early 90s, they are worth a lot of money for some reason. Even ones that have not been recapped and are totally dead will fetch a pretty decent price on eBay. And mine, having been recapped, and I was able to show pictures of it, actually turned on and playing a CD, this caught the attention of a few people, and it actually ended up being a small bidding war for this thing. So yeah, I've sold this thing because I couldn't get the right channel headphone audio working. Made that very clear in my listing. Despite that, people really wanted this thing, so that makes me happy. But I'll show this thing working today in this video. We'll play a CD, and I'll just show you the features and stuff. But first, a little physical overview. This thing is built really nicely. It is almost all metal. The only plastic parts are the battery compartment door, and this front part here is plastic. Everything else is metal. And even the buttons are metal too. This thing has an awesome build quality, and it looks awesome too. It looks exactly like the time period, and I really love the aesthetic. If the right channel headphone audio had worked, I would have kept this thing, because it's really cool. It's got the original "It's a Sony" sticker still on it. I got this from the original owner. Now, the other thing about this thing is that Sony chose to use a proprietary battery for Discmans of this era. And not just any proprietary battery, a 4-volt lead-acid battery. A tiny little lead-acid battery is what they used in this thing, which is just nuts. And it causes a bit of confusion because I don't think anybody suspects that it's lead-acid. I think everybody who gets these things thinks it's NiCad. I assumed it was NiCad too. And so people get a bit confused when they try to tear these the batteries that these things used apart with the intention of putting new cells in them. And they are met not with cells, but with lead sulfide plates. A bit of a mess indeed. Yeah, these used a 4-volt lead-acid battery. How weird, how quintessentially Sony. But Sony also sold an adapter for these that took 2 AA batteries, so there was an option for common batteries. So if you got one of these and you didn't have said adapter, you could solder to these battery terminals and solder, say, a 2 AAA battery adapter in there. Or if you had really good skills like a 3D printer or just skills for cutting down a standard AA battery holder, you could get a 2 AA battery holder in here probably. So yeah, I won't be demonstrating this thing running off the batteries because I don't have a battery solution for this, but I have a AC adapter to plug into the AC adapter jack. Oddly, it takes 9 volts DC. Kind of funny. It must need that extra voltage for the lead-acid battery charging circuitry. Kind of funny. But yeah, I have a non-Sony AC adapter that this thing works with. I'll be shipping that with this thing to its new owner. You've got your button there. Open it up. You've got combination seek and track forward and back. Stop, play, pause, all your typical CD player stuff. You've got a volume wheel, which only affects the headphone jack, not the line-out jack. You've got a resume switch, which also functions as a hold switch. Of course, if you have resume turned on and you stop the CD playing, it will pick up where you left off when you press play again. You have different modes that the unit can be in, different play modes and different key modes. Your play modes are stuff like repeat one track over and over, repeat the whole disc over and over. And then your key modes, as I recall correctly, but we'll find out later, are what the forward and back buttons do. It's separate modes whether you want those keys to seek within a track or to go back and forth a track. Unlike modern CD players, which combine those settings, this one you have to switch modes for one or the other. And then you can put the display into different modes. A mode that shows how far along the current track you are, how far along the disc you are, how much time is left on the track or on the disc. And there's your LCD display. It's backlit with an orange LED backlight, which is very nice, but only when you're plugged in. The backlight does not function on batteries, which is too bad, although I know exactly why that was the case. Estimated battery life on this, on the rechargeable battery, was about 2 hours, so just enough to get through 2 CDs. So definitely early days as far as the portability of these things and the battery life was concerned. So yeah, Sony chose to only make the backlight functional when you're on the AC adapter. Turn this thing around. Got a remote jack, that's pretty cool. Bass boost switch. Of course, this has Sony's Mega Bass system, which in my opinion, is a bit more gimmick than anything. Switch is broken off on this unit. I made that clear in the listing as well. But you could still operate it with a toothpick if you wanted to. You had 3 settings. Around the back, you've seen the AC adapter jack. There's your line out jack, connected up to your stereo system. These were expensive at the time. If you were getting into CDs back in these early days, you know, the 80s and a little bit into the 90s, unless you were loaded, you weren't going to buy a component CD player for your stereo system and then a portable unit for on the go. Lots of people bought just a portable unit, and it did double duty. And so that's why, you know, decent CD players of the time like this one had not only a headphone jack, but a line out jack. That's very nice. And then your headphone jack is right here, and it's actually a combined jack for a remote. So there's actually 2 remote jacks on this thing. One for, I guess, a standalone remote, and then one for a special cable that had a remote, but then it itself had a headphone jack on it. As far as portability was concerned, a CD player like this, using it portably was going to be very limited indeed, because there is no anti-skip protection on this. You cannot use this in a car. You cannot use this in a bar. You cannot use this on a hike, and you cannot use this on a bike. This thing is very sensitive indeed to bumps, and even some gentle movements cause this thing to skip a little bit. You need to just set this down on a surface and leave it there. It's very sensitive, and that's just how these early CD players were. But now, let me grab the power adapter for this thing, and we'll hook it up to the stereo system and see how it sounds. Alright, got it plumbed into the stereo system here. And of course, a CD player this old has no hope of playing a CDRW, and it's not going to be able to play most CDRs. So I had to find a factory recorded CD with music that wouldn't land me in jail, which can be a little hard to do, but I think I've found one here. It's this stock music disc from 1999, Percussion, Feet, Hands, and Sticks, with, are you ready, 72 tracks. 72 tracks of percussion music, meant for broadcast use, of course, or television or radio production or whatever. But I've got the CD inserted here, so we'll hit play. Yeah. Go to the next track. Can skip a few tracks here. And if I press the key mode, go into search mode, no indexes on this disc. And then the play mode. Repeat one, repeat all. I don't know what this means, maybe some sort of programming mode. And you got a shuffle, which is pretty cool. So there you go. And that's about all there is to show of the Sony Discman model D-99 from 1990. It's a sweet little unit. I really like this thing. It's too bad the right channel headphone audio doesn't work, or else I would have kept it. But I've got 2 other portable CD players and a component CD deck attached to the stereo system, all of which I gotta make videos about someday. And, you know, this thing raised me a little bit of money. Oh, and one other thing that I haven't talked about yet is this 1-bit DAC. This was something kind of special back in this day. Early CD players, up until the late 90s or so, advertised this 1-bit DAC. Whereas, you know, lower-end CD players, like this thing's lower-end sister model, the D9 Discman, they would have normal 16-bit DACs. Now, I don't know, you know, all the details behind a 1-bit DAC and why it's better. But basically, a 1-bit DAC helps with anti-aliasing, so a less aggressive anti-aliasing filter can be used, which results in better sound quality. That's pretty much the long and short of it. But other than that, there's probably everything you'd want to know about this thing. It's a sweet little unit. I hope its new owner enjoys it. So there you go. Thank you so much for watching. A big thanks to my Patreon supporters, which really help with this channel and help me to procure cool old things to make videos of for you guys. And to everyone else watching, I appreciate your viewership, and I'll see you in the next video.